Hey, it's a Thursday afternoon. Greetings from New Mexico, closer to the Denver Broncos than I would be at Gentry. It's about the start of football season, and so I'm putting that guy out there in the bottom left to excite some of you that your Denver Broncos are going to have a good season. Today, I want to do a very short assignment. It won't be much, but it will be, again, new. Those of you who haven't finished, don't worry, you've got some time. In fact, if you try to get done by Friday, the end of Friday's class, you're going to be good. Um, I'm I'm grading the quizzes, but basically those that are done, and I'm not counting you off if you're not done yet. So don't feel bad if you aren't if you haven't completed the quizzes or assignments. I just want you to know how to do it, and so that's why the quizzes even haven't been worth a lot of points. Just take your time and play with some of those little odd uh, situations, like where the years jump at various intervals. Today I want to talk about regression, because the regression is going to come up on your calculator, and I want you to know what it is. You're going to see it as an R, and that R is for regression. It shows up also, you've been using it, and you've been using it with your stat calc. When you push stat calc, what you're going to do is you go down and you do lin reg. Well, that reg is regression, and lin is linear. It's a linear regression. You've seen those two words, and today I want to show you how to not only make sure you can set that R, and that you can read it on the calculator you're using, because these calculators, again, they're used by different people every day. And so sometimes that doesn't even show up, and we want it to show up so that you can read it and see what it really means and why it is important. All right, what's your first thing that I need you to do? And again, as you're going through these, if you don't have a calculator already, put this on pause. You can come back and catch up. I I won't know you did. Put it on pause, and that way, if I go too fast, you can pause me, and you don't even need to raise your hand. Say, Mr. Crew, you're going too fast. All right. So when those of you have your calculator, you're going to push that second button, the shift button, that blue button, and down there above the zero is the word catalog. We're going to hit catalog. So push second, your blue button, and zero for catalog. When you get there, what you have are dozens of little pieces and parts and apps that are inside this calculator. Well, we want to get down to the D's, so scroll down. There is a shortcut, but it wasn't working on my calculator this afternoon, so I'm not even going to recommend you use it right now. But if you scroll down, keep going down, you're going to get through a lot of C's and finally get to the D's. And when you get to the D's, we want to get to the word diagnostics, and we want to make sure that it's on. So when you get down to diagnostics on, hit enter, and then hit enter again, and it'll say done. And you're ready to go. What you now have is your calculator. When you push calculate or calc, it will show an R, and that's what's going to be important. Now, this is your assignment today. And again, you can come back to this, you can pause this, and I'm just going to walk you through it to explain it, and that way you can not worry about that I'm going to go too fast or what did he just say. What you're looking at, what you're going to see is that little r if you've pushed the diagnostics on. All right, you're going to perform a scatter plot of problem 50 on page 163 after you've put in the data in L1, L2. You guys are good at that now, you're fast. Build a scatter plot. Now remember, if you don't have a scatter plot, go up to your shift and get above y equals, and you can turn that scatter plot on. Algebra 2 is using these calculators, and they keep turning that scatter plot off because it messes them up. So turn your scatter plot on if you don't already have it on, and then find your lin-reg equation. Remember, that's where you go to your stat calc and run down there to calculate. When you do, when you're looking for that equation, remember it's going to be y equals ax plus b, and it'll give you a number to put into a and a number to put into b. You've done that dozens of times. But today, if you push diagnostics on, it's also going to have an r. It'll have an r squared, but we're not going to worry about that today. It'll have an r and tell you what the r is. Now that regression, we want it to be 1. We want it to be as close to 1, which means that for every dot on that scatter plot, that line just lines up perfect, 1 to 1. But it's not going to. You know that often it'll be off just a little bit. Well, this 1 won't be there either. I don't know that I've ever seen a 1, but it will be 0.9 something, 801 say. And you're going to go out probably to the thousands. And so that will show you how close to 1 you are. Because what you're now going to do is go back in, and this is where you need to pause me if I'm going too fast. You're going to go back in and do a stat calc. But this time, don't do a lin-reg. I better do a red. Don't do a lin-reg. Do a quad-reg. And find that equation. And see what that r is. And you're going to put those r's right here and here. Which comes closer to 1? And you're just going to do this on your own sheet of paper to where you can answer it. One of those is going to come closer to 1. And for instance, it might be 990 or 983. One of them is going to come closer to 1. And the one that does, write that there. And what you're going to find is put both equations, put each equation in one at a time to make a prediction for the year 2010. And the answers are going to be different. Find out. We're going to find out which one is the most accurate. How different are the answers? And the most accurate you're going to find is the one. You say, well, how do we know which is accurate? The one that is closer to the number 1. So when you have done these up here and at C and E, you're going to find one that's closer to 1, and that will end up being the most accurate. I just want you to run through the steps and see for yourself that the numbers are going to vary, and they might vary by quite a bit. And you're going to be using this for exponential, log. You're going to try a variety of equations later on with scatter plots, and you're only going to get a little piece of it. And so as a result, I'll give you an example. Look up here in this upper right-hand corner. Before you do that, I'm going to erase this because you can always come back. And notice here, let's say I've got my graph here, and your stat, or yeah, when you do your stat plot, they could look about like so. And you say, well, yeah, that's kind of a lin-reg. But in reality, it is actually part of a parabola. Well, you can't see that. And you don't need to always be looking over here. And so what's going to happen is you're going to have to try a couple different ones to see which one ends up being closer. It could also be an exponential. And you aren't long enough, and so you can't see what's going to happen. But the calculator will. So that's the deal. Try page 163, number 50, play through that and get an idea for R. There won't be a quiz. There won't be a new assignment. This will act as your assignment, and this way it'll give you time to take care of the assignments for the last couple of days. And beyond that, all I can do is tell you to enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I will see you next Monday. But right now, this is the Pueblo that I happen to be teaching in, and we will catch you later.